What is the area of the blue region? Label points B, C, D, and E. Locate the center, O. It implies that line E, O equals R minus 2. Since line B, O equals the radius of the semicircle, and join line D, O equals radius. From triangle EOD, using Pythagoras theorem. The square of D, O equals the sum of the square of EO and the square of DE. Substitute values and simplify. We have that the square of R equals R squared minus 4 times R plus 4 plus 16, which further simplified to 0 equals to the sum of negative 4 times R and 20. Thus, 4 times R equal 20. Divide the equation by 4. We have that R equals 20 divided by 4, which equals 5 units. It signify that line EO equals R minus 2, which equals 3 units after substitution of values. Let beta be equals to angle EOD. Thus, sine beta equals D, E divided by R, which equals to 4 divided by 5. Thus, beta equals sine inverse of 4 divided by 5, which equals to 53.13 degrees to 2 decimal places. It implies that the area of blue region equals area of sector DOB minus area of triangle DOE, which equals to the product of 53.13 degrees, pi and the square of 5 all divided by 360 degrees minus the product of 4 and 3 all divided by 2. The final result is equals to 5.5912 square centimeters to 4 decimal places after simplification. Therefore, the area of blue region equals 5.5912 square centimeters to 4 decimal places.
From the figure below, what is the radius R of the circle? Hence, find the length of the line Y. If you are ready, let us solve it. Label points C, B, D, H, Q and join lines B, C and Q, D respectively, using cosine rule and substitute values. Simplify and we have that the square of BC equals 48 subtracted from 159 is equal to 112. Find the square root of the equation. Using sine rule, substitute values, and simplify, we have that angle beta equals the antisine of the product of 3 divided by 2 and the square root of 3 divided by 7. Also, join line HC. Mark the center of the circle O and join. OC equals O, H equals radius R of the circle. Since we have gotten the value of angle beta, reflex angle HOC equals product of 2 and angle beta. This is because the angle at center is twice that at the circumference of the circle. Please note it. We will come to that later. But angle HDC equals angle BDC subtracted from 180 degrees, which is equal to 60 degrees. From triangle HDC and using cosine rule, we solve for the square of HC. Simplify to get that. Square of HC equals 189. From triangle HOC. Using cosine rule, we found a new value of the square of HC. Substitute the value of angle beta and equate your result with equation I. Make the square of R the subject of the formula, and we have that the square of R is the combination of given values and our derived values. We are now solving for question I specifically. Find the square root of the equation and simplify to get that R is the square root of 49, a perfect square root of number that simplify to 7 centimeters. Therefore, R equals 7 centimeters. Using the value of h, b given, we reconstruct line G, C equals to h, b and join h, G and b, C respectively to form inscribed rectangle in a circle. G, b equals 2, R equals diagonal of the rectangle. Since R equals 7 centimeters derived, and considering triangle B, C, G, we use Pythagora theorem to find length BC. That is the square of G, B equals the sum of the square of B, C and the square of G, C. So that, by solving for the square of B, C, we have that B, E equals to 147. Find the square root of the equation to have that. B, C equals the product of 7 and the square root of 3. Construct line K, E equals to line BC. Opposite sides of rectangle KBCE are equal. BC equals K, E equals the product of 7 and the square root of 3 in centimeter. Hence, substitute values and we have that KF equals the sum of the product of 7 and the square root of 3 in Y. Label W and join line HW. Also, join line BE. Label angle H, the center angle equals angle delta equals angle E, the center angle. Reason is that angles in the same segment are equal. From triangle W, H, K. The ratio of Y to 3 equals tan delta. Also, from triangle BEK. For divided by the sum of the product of 7 and the square root of 3 and Y equals to tan delta. Since tan delta is equal in both triangles. This implies that by equating the values of tan delta, cross-multiply and rearranging terms in one side of the equation, we have quadratic equation in Y. Using quadratic equation formula, we solve for Y by substituting coefficient terms of the equation and simplifying. We have that Y equals the ratio of the sum of the product of -7 and the square root of 3 and the square root of 195 all divided by 2 in centimeter. From the figure below, what is the area of the blue region? Label F, O, B, C, D, and E. Line O, E, and line B, D are parallel lines, and line F, C, is a transversal line. It means that angle EOB equals angle DBC C equals 60 degrees. It is because corresponding angles are equal. Join line OD. It implies that angle OBD equals 180 degrees minus 60 degrees, which equals 120 degrees. This is because the sum of angles in a straight line equal to 180 degrees. Line OD equals the radius r, which equals line FO, that is equals to 2 centimeters. Thus, line OB equals to 1 centimeter. Line OB equals to line CB. It is given. Let BD equals x. From triangle OBD. Using cosine rule, we obtained an equation for the square of line OD as shown on the screen. Substitute values of the square of line OD. Simplify the equation and we have that 4 equals to the sum of 1, the square of x and x. Arrange terms in one side of the equation and combine like terms. It implies that the sum of the square of x and negative 3 equals 0. Use general quadratic equation formula to find the value of x. Thus, x equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of the sum of 1 and the product of 4 and 3, all divided by 2. Simplify and we have that after simplification, x is not equals to the negative result because length measurement has no negative value. Thus, x equals the sum of negative 1 and the square root of 13 all divided by 2 in centimeters. The result, which equals to x, is also equals to line BD. As shown on the screen, we need to find the angle DOB. Let it be beta. By using sine rule, line B, D divided by sine beta equals line O, D divided by sine 120 degrees. Substitute values and we have equation shown on the screen. Cross multiply and solve for sine beta. This implies that we obtained an equation for the sine beta as shown on the screen, which equals the difference between the square root for 39 and the square root of 3 all divided by 8 after simplification. Take sine inverse of the equation and we have that beta equals 34.3411 degrees to 4 decimal places. It signifies that the required blue area equals to the difference between the area of the sector O, B, C, D and the area of triangle O, B, D. Take pi to be equals to 3.142. Thus, area of the sector O, B, C, D equals the product of beta, pi and the square of are all divided by 360 degrees, which equals 2. 1.198885957 square centimeters. Also, area of triangle O, B, D equals to half the product of line O, B, line B, D and sine 120 degrees, which equals 0.564118398 square centimeters after substitution and simplification of values. Therefore, the blue area equals 1.19888859578 minus 0.564118398 as shown. Therefore, the blue area equals to 0.635 square centimeters to 3 decimal places.
What is the value of the black line y? Label B, C, D, E, and G. Join line B, E and let angle BG, C equals alpha. Triangle BC, D is an isosceles triangle. Implies that angle CDB is equals 30 degrees. It because the base angles of isosceles triangle are equal. Use sine rule. Line B, C divided by sine alpha equals line C, G divided by sine 30 degrees. Substitute values. And it implies that 8 divided by sine alpha equals 5 divided by sine 30 degrees. Solve for sine alpha to obtain that sine alpha equals 4 divided by 5. It signify that angle BC, G equals to 180 degrees minus alpha plus 30 degrees. It is because the sum of angles in a triangle equals to 180 degrees. Angle E is equals to 30 degrees. It because angles in the same segment are equal. It implies that angle BC, G equals 150 degrees minus alpha. Thus, after simplification, we have that angle B equals alpha. From triangle EBC, use sine rule. It implies that line B, C divided by sine E equals line C, E divided by sine B. Substitute values and we have the equation shown on the screen. Cross multiply and we have that the sum of y and 5 equals the product of 8 sine alpha all divided by sine 30 degrees. But sine alpha equals 4 divided by 5. Thus, the sum of y and 5 equals 64 divided by 5. Solve for y. Thus, y equals to 64 divided by 5 minus 5, which equals 39 divided by 5 in centimeters. Therefore, y equals 39 divided by 5 centimeters or 7.8 centimeters.